All right, welcome back. Episode 20 of Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. I was almost about to say we've crossed into double digits, but we're well into double digits. We've done this is number 20. I'm thrilled, and I'm that other dude, Andrew, joined as always by Heather. The show would not exist what without the two of us, but especially Heather because her name is in the title of the show.
Yeah.
And Heather is rocking an awesome Grave Next Door tee.
Yeah, and Grave Next Door, their music, their album is out. Their CD's for sale. It's up on Bandcamp. Awesome guys out of Michigan. A great group of guys.
Yeah. If you get the chance this Friday for Bandcamp Friday, pick up some Grave Next Door music and merch.
Yeah, they've got some really cool merch. They really do.
They do. And I'm rocking my Misfits tee from I got this when I was in Thailand back in 2012. It survived the test of time. And there we go. So today for episode 20, the decision fell back to my side of the court to make the suggestion. I picked Horselung from Canada. So we'll talk about two of their albums, and then we will talk about Igor, I think it's pronounced Lapo, I'm guessing, Lapo or Lapo, Igor Lapo. The album is called Naturalism, and it will be released, I believe, in April. And then we're revisiting the Lost Ark category, and a band Stonehelm that I found one day spelunking through the YouTube algorithm. So let's begin. We can talk about Horselung from Canada, who is mostly an instrumental doom sludge band, I would say. I don't know if maybe one of their tracks has vocals, but I think at least all the ones we listened to were instrumental.
Yes.
And so we're going to kick things off with their first album. I believe it's pronounced Gethsemane Haze. And Gethsemane that I looked up is the garden, a garden in Jerusalem that's mentioned in the book of Mark, chapter 14. That's the scene of Jesus' arrest. It is also a place or occasion of great mental or spiritual suffering. So right off the bat, I have a feeling that thematically this album is going to deal with spiritual and mental existential angst. But that's just me.
That's doom.
That is doom. That is doom. So and then you had selected Riff Wizard, Camel Caravan, and a Sacred Mausoleum Smoke. So why don't we kick things off with, what did you think of Riff Wizard?
Well, first of all, I love the name of the band. And second, I love doom. We've talked about other great genres within the stoner umbrella, but we always seem to circle back to doom, which I think we both hold close to our hearts. I thought I would miss the vocals, but this is excellent instrumental music. It's slow and low, and the guitar keeps it interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting how the song begins with a really high-pitched note that kind of gets your attention, almost like it's static. And then I wrote that a tidal wave of a riff kicks in, and it's like the riff has the word tone tattooed across its knuckles. Like that's what I got the sense of. And then because the song is titled Riff Wizard, I kept imagining that was like the main character in the story, and like the Riff Wizard rode into town and people would always be like, oh yeah, that's the Riff, don't mess with the Riff Wizard, that's the Riff Wizard. And then all of a sudden the Riff Wizard became a gunslinger who saddled up to the bar and like part, the people parted because it was like, oh yeah, you don't mess with the Riff Wizard. And I liked how there was really like intricate playing amongst this tone of distortion, but yet there was some really nuanced playing. It reminded me sort of a layer cake. Like the song had a lot of different. It's one of those tracks that I feel it was. I think I wrote layered and textured, like how I would order my hash browns at Waffle House. Like I want them smothered and covered. So I think this is a song, and I think the whole album really, you can go back and listen to it multiple times and just pick up little nuances and subtle, intricate sort of guitar parts here and there. So I really enjoyed the opening track of Riff Wizard, and that was followed by Camel Caravan. What were your thoughts on Camel Caravan?
You know, when music has a frequency that just hits you the right way, this song had that for me. Listening to it made me feel at peace. Doom music does that for me. The musicians here seem to be in sync with each other and have great timing. The song has some incredible bass lines also.
Yeah, that's what I actually wrote. The song leads off with the bass, much again, more intricate playing, a different tone this time, but just as phenomenal of a tone. I said they were telling a sonic story. This one, Camel Caravan, I think at this point was my favorite. We'd only listen to 2 songs, but it was my favorite. And then it changed tempo, and we got some progressive elements. So I agree with you definitely. I think there are only 3 people in the band, but they're in the pocket together. They're like in a groove. It's a unified front, definitely. And then we ended up with Sacred Mausoleum Smoke, which was the final track we were going to discuss. What were your thoughts on that?
I really love the guitar in this song. It has a psychedelic vibe to it. Towards the end of the song, I thought it was over, and then it started back up again, which was a pleasant surprise. And then when it actually did end, I thought the ending of the song was really cool.
Yeah, I wrote, now we get to the psychedelic aspects of it. I was sort of based on the title of the album, I was sort of waiting for there to be some psychedelic elements, but so far it had been mostly doom sludge or stoner. And then I wrote, this is like what I would imagine would be playing in the waiting room at an opium den. Like this is the song that would be over the PA system. Just very mellow. And then, and I thought 3 very distinct and different songs from each other, although I could tell it was the same band, but it wasn't like they were, recycling riffs, like some bands will do that. You can tell like the whole album is basically variations on the same type of riff, but I thought these were all really distinct and unique from each other. And then, there was a tonal shift where it sort of revisited the doom sludge from the psychedelic, and then it shifted again to more of a progressive feel. But yeah, I mean, I thought I knew going into it I would like the band because I had picked them, but I hadn't really listened to this album very much. I'd listened to the other one we're about to talk about. So this was sort of like a pleasant revisit for me. So, all right. And then we went to Eschaton, which was their next album, which I think was just an EP with 3 tracks anyway. So we decided to listen to all 3. And Eschaton is a Greek term for the final event in a divine plan or the end of the world. So 2 very heavy subject matter themed albums, if you just take it at face value. But the first track is Hajira, which is a migration. It was the Muhammad's journey to Mecca in Islam, which I said sort of set the stage for. I'll jump in if you don't mind, since I'm already flapping my gums. But an acoustic guitar with a sort of Middle Eastern flair. And I felt like that said it was very, very similar to like when we had talked about Ohm before, or when I had brought up Ohm during the last episode of Black Willows. And the guitar had an almost flamenco style of playing. So I thought, again, sort of a unique perspective, different from the previous album, but just as cool.
Yeah. A short introduction. It's just a little over 3 minutes. Acoustic guitar it did remind me of Spanish guitar music. I also read that the title of the song means migration, departure in Arabic.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like you said, it's only 3. I think the other songs are at least almost 15 minutes long each, so markedly different. And that brings us to the next song, Techtonica, which I just said was spacey and psychedelic and otherworldly. So that was it. I didn't really spend a lot of time trying to come up with adjectives because I thought that sort of was comprehensive enough. Spacey, psychedelic, and otherworldly.
Well, it has a repetition that immediately sucks you in. And with each repetition, it pulls you in further and further. It's hypnotic. It seems to get subtly heavier and denser. This band was this was a great pick. I'm really glad that you brought them to my attention.
Awesome. Yeah, this was so going into the final song. It was the final song, which is titled Eschaton. So this one hooked me. Like I don't know how I sometimes I just don't know how I find these bands. I mean, I know it's the YouTube algorithm at work, or it's just divine luck and chance, or it's meant to be. But maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I think I found them. They were doing a live version of this song, and I remember thinking, "Wow," because this was the song that hooked me, and I was like, "This sounds like a distress signal from space." I was like, "This is awesome," and I love it's got like a slow, very slow build to it that just gets more and more powerful. It's similar to the previous song in that regard. It reminded me of like Bach types, like organ symphony almost. It just really power. Yeah. I mean, I remembered, because they do have a distinct name, Horselung. I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to remember this band because I know that at some point I'm going to want to listen to this song again. And
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was how I remembered them. And then I thought, could there be a more perfect situation to bring them back up again? Probably not. Let's do an episode on Horselung.
Yeah. Well, the first word that popped into my head while listening to this was sublime. The song title, the song title means the end of the world, which makes the image on the album art, it makes it make total sense. There's a sense of melancholy while listening, which essentially is what doom is. Doom music tends to bring up dealing with loss, death, pain, anxiety, despair. Here's music that sonically captures those feelings and helps you immerse yourself in it and make sense of it which ultimately can be cathartic.
Definitely. And that's, I mean, I love music that has lyrics also, but one of the things I like about instrumental is that you're just given the music to tell the story, really. And for those of you who haven't seen the album cover, it looks like it's like a dying planet or a star that's about to explode, or something on its last legs. So it does make sense in terms of the end of the world. But
Yeah,
I'm really glad you liked it.
I did. I liked it a lot.
And so
Yeah.
for those of you who enjoy, well, first of all, if you haven't already, go check out the playlist for this episode because Horselung has been included there. But if you like really solid instrumental doom with certain other elements, some progressive elements, some sludge elements, you'll really dig this band. So just make sure to put in a Horselung band in the YouTube search, because if you just put in Horselung, you may get some surgery on horses that you may not want to see. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, I think all the bands really, I would suggest checking them out. They're all really different from each other, but they're all dynamite.
Yeah.
And next up, Igor Lapo or Lapo. I'm not sure. I apologize if I'm getting them wrong. And the album is Naturalism. What did you think of the latest Igor album?
Yeah, and this is going to be available April 8th. I thought it was a great mix of pop, electronica, and progressive. I picked up a little industrial as well. Very nice vocals that go with the music very well. I also really like the album cover. It's minimalistic, clean. It's a bit monochromatic, but powerful at the same time.
Yeah, I said that it was sort of like I was listening to a progressive space opera with other variables thrown in, like you had mentioned, with some pop variables and some industrial. Chris from Seven Sins of Metal had written about a previous album that I thought was applicable. Chris wrote compelling ear-to-ear experiences of very well thought through arrangements in the music and songs that deliver elements of a heavy dose of ambiance, pop elements, progressive rock metal, and melodic hard rock that's woven into one cosmos while giving the listener a soothing, harmonious atmosphere of catchy, motivated music. So I thought that was really well said, and I figured, why not? I will simply repeat what Chris had written from Seven Sins of Metal. So if anything we've just said is something you like, then definitely check out Igor's album when it releases on the 8th. And yeah, and then that'll bring us to our final group, Stonehelm, which was another one of those bands that I think I discovered probably when I was living at my folks' place or visiting them. I remember being at their place at some point. So this is maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 6, 5. Yeah, time has been very surreal these last few years. So, but what did you think of Stonehelm?
I saw a comment on YouTube, Stoner Doom Forever. This has a bit of a faster tempo than traditional Doom, and the length of the songs are a bit shorter. It's a great record. This was a great find. Huge guitar sound. The vocals fit perfectly with the massive guitar riffs. This is about as underground as you can get, I think. I'm glad you unearthed this.
Yeah, it opens with a line from Conan the Barbarian where Schwarzenegger is quoting Genghis Khan, um, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women. And then the songs just kick in, and it's like a steamroller. Like each song sort of comes, like you said, they're short. It's almost like they've taken the sort of thrash element of like a Motorhead type band, where the songs are shorter, and the tempo is a little bit quicker, but it's still that same sort of doom stoner formula, which they've got. I mean, they've got it down to a science. It reminded me of a short story I wrote a long time ago called Nicolas Cage's Field Artillery, where I compared certain actors to different weapons, and I said like Meryl Streep, for example, is like an M60 machine gun that anyone can use it and get the job done, and you don't have to be like a weapons or a munitions expert. Whereas if you're going to use Nicolas Cage, he's like a field artillery piece. So you've got to know how to operate it correctly. You've got to be a great director. Because he'll go off the rails and just, and
he's one of a kind.
Oh yeah, he's
one of a kind.
So I feel like Stonehelm wasn't necessarily reinventing the wheel, like a Meryl Streep, but they were like field artillery, like Nick Cage. Like they were getting the job done in an incredible way, and you had to just sort of keep them contained.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But if you get the chance, unfortunately, I don't think they're making. I think they've split up. But this album in its entirety is available on YouTube, so definitely worth checking out. As well as picking up some Igor Lapo, the new album when it comes out on the 8th. He has other albums available too, and then Horselung. So I would say there's something for everyone in the consortium of music we've just gone through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you like stoner, if you like doom, if you like electronic music, we've got it covered.
We have it covered here at Happy Hour with Heather and Guest.
Yeah.
So this has been episode number 20, and you're up next in the driver's seat. So I'm excited to see what you come up with. But yeah, we have other bands, albums that are coming out that we'll be reviewing, and other lost gems I'm sure will be found, and some compilations. We've got tricks up our sleeve, so I won't reveal it all, but just know that we have some cool things planned. So I think unless there's no new business, we can.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, as always, it's been a true pleasure. And for those of you out there, please check out the bands we've talked about, especially this Friday when it's Bandcamp Friday. Throw them some shekels, and yeah, have a good one.
Bye. Thanks for listening.